10 years ago, it was okay.
10 years ago,
if I could say, woeful.
you have to remember there was a time when you go to Sierra Leone parties, all you would hear is Sierra Leone music.
It was good in a sense because the likes of Paradise Films done by Jimmy Bangura was there and he was doing his movies full time.
You had the times that, when K-Man was popping all over the place, obviously Jungle Leaders, Pupa Baja, etc., etc.
We can say it has changed drastically. It's been improving.
I was probably in secondary school, I guess.
I think it was in a transition period.
Well, it was quite difficult at the start. It was quite difficult at the start because, with all due respect, starting and what happened, there was a period where the gospel music become dormant, as in totally completely, because it was at this point and then it came down and it was not functioning anymore. So it was quite difficult, and it was during that period that a lot of people started going through the process of trying to emerge as the new gospel musicians of these days now. So it was quite difficult, and so my mom, to be specific, was like, this is not going to work.
Yeah, we used to have different kind of comedians, like doing some things to like promote our culture and pass on information at the end of the day. But you can't tell your parents that, mommy or daddy, I want to become a comedian. They will not only laugh at you, you are dead.
So it was at that time that Nigerians started taking over. And so I think at that time there was, I wouldn't say a panic, but there was Sierra Leoneans were trying to figure out how we're going to compete with this.
Well, based on most of what I got to know and got to understand, some were trying to get into the next level of flow, but it was quite difficult because one of the things I noticed was, it was always the reggae. The reggae, yes. The reggae was like that. That was the genre that was dominant for the gospel.
So there was a struggle to find the right identity.
Most people at that point, they said, music. It was not only gospel music in general, but music in general was for dropouts or movies or entertainment, or for those who didn't complete school or anything. So that was when they just ventured into music, and that was why there was a limited rate of success. Because
that's the time the Afro beat was just kicking, and you know how that blew up. And so at that time, I think it was in a transitional phase.
So it was very, very difficult, and but I knew what I had, but I know that it was not going to be possible in the 21st century just by going into full-time music at just anyhow.
And so some decided to try to just sound like them. Some tried to maintain the Sierra Leonean flavor and struggled.
It was a 50-50 thing. Some were indigenous, like doing mainly for here, and some were trying to push the standard, but it was still difficult to, it was just a bit minor.
We still had artists that were still doing it big. Obviously Cal De Nero's, LAJ's, they were still doing massive albums, massive shows. But the whole Sierra Leonean scene as a whole, apart from those two, it struggled. I won't say sunk, but it struggled.
Times are changing, the technology, and we're gradually coming there, getting to where we should be.
So we learned a lot from these people, and they have also helped, one way or the other, and it was different to now.
Some people are born actors, and some people, they have to develop the art. For me, I would say I was born an actor.
The time I started listening to Lil Wayne, that's when I started liking wordplay, the whole literature about it.
Originally, when I was in primary school, secondary school, I noticed that I'm that kind of person. I used to be a clown of the class. I used to mimic these comedians, the one-pot comedians.
It was something I had, but it was also something I knew it would take time to develop. So I needed to understand a lot of things before venturing into full-time. And it was at some point that I knew that, well, this is what God wants me to do, and this is the path that God is leading me to.
Definitely education helped because it gives you a greater insight as to what exactly you are doing or what you want to do, etc., etc.
When you're starting, you know you have the talent and everything, but then you're also thinking, I have to get something that is going to sustain my future.
If you look at the Nigerian industry, you know that most of them are educated. They are lawyers, they are doctors, maybe they leave their field and do movie as a career, but they are educated.
You can make it out of the box, but again, education is very important.
The more you read, the more exposed you are. The more you learn new things, the more you can implement those things you've learned.
And if you look at Nigeria, I have my icon, I would say, Omotola. She just got a PhD in arts. And that's huge, that's big, because when you learn, when you go to school, when you be educated, whether it's in the field, in the arts or different field, it makes you unique.
As a child we were thinking, well, I guess this one will be an aside, but then the major thing is our career path and everything.
Years back, people would say, oh, music is for dropouts.
At that point, we were not certain because it was not evident of us seeing people in these different levels being that successful at that level.
Being educated and coming into entertainment is the icing on the cake, because education makes the difference.
Going to the university was no regret for me. I want to thank my parents and other people that actually supported me, because with that I use that to back whatever talent I have up.
You have to stay humble. Things can get to your head fast.
You have to be focused because there are a lot of distractions.
Once you attain any level of success, you have people that will be praising you. You'll be exposed to things you were never exposed to before. You have to find something that keeps you grounded.
As you're moving higher, success comes with a lot of distractions because many people are attracted to success. So in terms of the women, in terms of the bad friends, in terms of money.
You need to add value to whatever you're doing. There are times I don't get paid for equivalently to what, yes. So I'll buy nice suits, nice perfumes. They'll give me 200,000 per performance. So most of the things, they are worth more than that, But it's how you present yourself. And always my first appearance is not for actually the particular event. I'm there to market myself, sell myself to other people.
You don't become a star overnight. It takes hard work, it takes patience.
Always be a very good thinker. Even when you're sleeping, think a lot. Think of how you want to see yourself in the next 4 or 5 years and start working towards it. Don't get distracted, focus and know what you want to achieve. There are a lot of things that are going to happen. People are going to say a lot of bad things about you. People are going to be jealous of what you do, and people are going to criticize what you do. But if you know that God has called you into this and He has this purpose and this plan for you, and you know that this is what God wants to happen, He's going to lead you and He's going to make some ways.
If you're coming into the Sierra Leonean music industry, what I'll say to you is be you, do you, be as authentic as you can. Don't try to sound like anybody else, try to sound like you. And trust me, if it's good enough, it'll break through and it'll do well. And you'll make your impact. And that's where the transformation comes from. If you be yourself, we have more authentic things coming out of the country, and so that'll be a very great thing and that would be transformative.
I'm calling on parents, anybody who see themselves as making movie their career, that it's not a bad idea. It's a very good idea, because telling your story might change a life somewhere. Telling your story might be an inspiration for somebody out there who might think that that's all to life, or who might be dwindling down the spans of life, and maybe that's your story will turn that person's life around. So movie is huge. Movie is strong, it's powerful. Music and movie entertainment is powerful. It's very, very powerful. So I encourage parents to let their children be, let their kids be. If they want to do movies, support them. If they want to study the arts, support them. It pays. Eventually, it will pay.
I know it's difficult for us to accept it in Africa, but I think we are case studies now. We are role models. Yeah, you can be a doctor and can still be a comedian, but definitely comedy is a profession individually, just like lawyers. We do the same thing. We lie for a living. But in a nutshell, I just want people to know that as a comedian, you can put food on the table, most importantly, and you can be established. And I want also people to know that a comedian is not a stupid fool. It's not a fool. You can never be a comedian and be a fool. It's not possible because it involves so many thinking. IQ, your IQ should be very much accurate and spontaneous, you understand? So if your child wants to be a comedian, the thing I want parents to know that you just guide the child, yeah, support the child. Yes, there are times it can be very tempting and frustrating to see people make swear for a living, but the most important thing, the end justify the means. Look at Basketball today. He's one of the richest comedians in Africa. Yeah, and Kindo Aman is one of the richest comedians in Sierra Leone. I am married, so you can be whatever you want to be, but the most important thing for young people, you need to back it up with education, because education is key. They used to say education is better than silver and gold. Yes, but education with silver and gold is better than silver and gold. They are not well.
Make God the center of everything you do, and make God to lead and direct you. And also don't forget education is important. And for those of us in the church, you know, God has to prepare you before he shows you off to the world. Jesus told the disciples, tarry in Jerusalem until you are endued with power. And you need the power to go out and be a witness for Jesus. So stay in church, do what you have to do, be diligent in the things of God, and make sure you're disciplined and you become broken and refined. And trust me, so even when the fame and all these things come, you know how to handle them, because then pride will not be able to enter. And for our mommies and our daddies, God has called us into many things. And if God has called your son or your daughter into ministry, trust me, God is doing always possible to secure his future. And he has put you by his side to guide him into fulfilling destiny. You know, not everyone will be a doctor, not everyone will be a lawyer, not everyone will be an engineer. The education is quite important, that we know, but also we're here to fulfill the purpose of God, and we don't forget that. So sit with your son or your daughter, talk with them, and you know the level ground. You know you want them to achieve this. What is God saying about them also? And you come to an agreement. So do this and this. Most people that I have seen, they came out with myself. I'm an engineer. I know a lot of people, their testimonies. Sinach came out with physics. Another minister Dumsi, he's an electrical engineer, but they are now doing full-time music. So trust me, God has a purpose, and for Sierra Leone, God wants to raise a lot of young people to take the mantle. And so it has to start with you encouraging them, teaching them the ways of the Lord and guiding them and helping them.
What's up, my people? This is your boy Prodigy of Simple, Mr. Azamba, and you're watching Life by Design by Joe Abbas Mangwa.
My name is Arnold K. Fofana. I'm a worshiper, I'm a gospel music recording artist, a vocal coach. And so I want you to keep watching to Life by Design with Joe Abbas Bangura. Have a wonderful time. God bless you.
Hello, I'm Mayonin Bangura. I'm an actor, an entrepreneur, and an accountant. Keep watching Life by Design with Joe Abbas Bangura.
This na Kindo Aman, your favorite comedian, and all well. I dey right now na Life by Design studio. Keep watching, keep it locked with Joe Abbas Bangura.